Hello and welcome to another edition of ms-spn News. That's Matthew Singh's Sports Programming Network. On this week's show, we have the latest on the Wayne Rooney saga and what is going on in Wayne's world. Arsenal have broken the record for the most unbeaten league games, but in this week's Champions League, they're off breaking more records. Also, we have the latest from this week's NBA action with a phenomenal piece of play from Chris Bosh in the Toronto Raptors game against the Washington Wizards. Finally, we have a treat for you tennis fans with Roger Federer showing you why he is still probably the greatest player ever to set foot on a tennis court. First up, some footy action. We go down to Old Trafford and find out what's going on in the life of Mr. Wayne Rooney. As you know, Sir Alex Ferguson has been recently leaving out the star striker, claiming it to be injury, but the player has been stating otherwise.
I've been training for the last, 2 months where I haven't missed a training session, so I have no problems with it.
It is clear, therefore, that something is going on at Old Trafford, keeping Wayne Rooney as a Man United bench warmer, something that the striker isn't quite perhaps accustomed to. Journalists and commentators alike strongly believe now that he really wants a change of scenery, considering his lack of support from the club and his fans through difficult times on and off the field.
I think that he's worth a bit more money. That's what's been offered. He also isn't too happy with the way he's been treated in his perception.
Wayne Rooney really has been a shining light for this club, but with all the speculation, even the most loyal fans now are starting to accept the situation.
I can't understand it personally. Why would he want to leave Manchester United? Manchester United's the biggest club in the world.
If he wants to leave, then let him. At the end of the day, he's disrespected the manager and no player's bigger than the club.
Don't even like football, really.
Moving on to a more positive note, however, Arsenal fans, you'll be pleased to know, have been celebrating a much better week. In this week's Champions League game against Shakhtar Donetsk, they put 5 past their opponents with a total of 14 goals in their opening 3 Champions League games, surpassing a record previously held by Real Madrid. And as you can see here in these clips, doing so with fantastic style. Captain Cesc Fabregas, however, still insists that the most important thing was getting the results.
It's not about goals, it's about the performances and the points, and I think we did well again tonight.
Moving on to the NBA action, a phenomenal piece of play by Raptors star Chris Bosh in their game against the Washington Wizards. As you can see here, Chris Bosh turns over the ball with a fantastic shot last minute in the game, swish in the net. Absolutely fantastic piece of play there. The refs even had to go to a super slow motion replay just to make sure the ball was released before the buzzer went. As you can see here in this replay, he does just release it before the buzzer goes, but it was very close. An absolutely phenomenal piece of play there. Now, because this whole full court shot business, I was wondering, is it really as hard as it looks? So I thought I'd have a go myself. Moving swiftly on, a treat for you tennis fans. Thank you. Roger Federer this week shows us why he's still the greatest tennis player ever to have stepped on the court. Whilst preparing for a photo shoot, Roger gets a little bored and decides to have a bit of fun with one of the members. He decides to see if he could serve off a can off this guy's head while serving at full pace. Absolutely unbelievably, he does so, not once, but he does it again. Well, he's still the best, our Roger, isn't he? Well, guys, that's it for this week, but I'll see you next week for another edition of ms-spn.